What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the redracer1985 channel. And what you're seeing behind me in my bed, laying on my bed, is one of my two cats, by the way. So hopefully she'll stay asleep. I hope during this whole thing. But 5 questions have been. If you remember the question video I put up yesterday, well, 5 questions have been asked. Actually, 4 of them on YouTube. One of them actually asked me via the messenger on Facebook. So I'll probably include that question too. Um, so without further ado, here's me answering all those questions. So first question I get comes from Robbie Bogues. Favorite type of music? Okay. I have a few favorite types of music. Probably my number one favorite type of music would probably be rock, because I'm more of a rock and roll type person, and I like Christian rock, metal, heavy metal, hair metal, and stuff like that, or just probably regular rock, more or less. I also like a little bit of pop music, a little bit of that, and country music, like 80s and 90s country mainly, and but that's basically about it. I don't listen to much of today's stuff. Like any stuff that you made to like the 2000s, I don't listen to much of. Like I do have some favorites from the 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. Well, very little from the 2010s, and hardly any from the 2020s as of right now. Hardly, and to me, the music has all sounded the same since like the 90s. And they say any decade you grew up on is a decade of music that you usually would like. Well, that's not always the case, because I grew up in the 90s. I grew up in that decade, and basically that decade, my mom got me into some of the music that she listens to, and my dad got me into some of the music that he listens to. So that's where most of my music taste comes from. So, but yeah, mainly as far as what I developed on my own, probably I liked a lot of rock music, basically. So, so thanks for that question, Robbie. Um, Second question comes from K Train 2787 Productions, and that's Kellen Fleming, I believe, one of my friends I made here in Moorhead. Um, so his question is: are you going to watch the Daytona Speed Weeks? Any predictions for the race winners? Really, no predictions on the race winners. For first off, Kellen, you know, if any Speed Weeks races I'm going to keep up on, it's probably going to be the trucks and the ARCA race, possibly, because I'll probably watch mainly that. I'm going on an 8th year without an Xfinity favorite. Hard to believe. And if you know who I like, then you pretty much know why. So, but no, there's really no Xfinity drivers I can pick as my favorite. I know. Some people tell me just pick another favorite in that category. That's been hard to do since 2014, and I am not. Really do not want another one. So there you have it with that. I do have some favorites I hold on to in Cup, like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin. Yes, hate me for that one. I do like Hamlin, and Michael McDowell is probably one of my favorite underdogs right now. But as far as in the truck series, actually, I'm already going to watch a lot of the truck races, possibly, when I get a chance to, if I can, I should say. But I got a few truck favorites, and it's not just Haley Deegan and Jennifer Jokoff. It's not just those two. In case some of you people think I'm only going to watch because of those two, that's not really the case. And there's more drivers I like besides those two. I like Sauter, I like Infinger, I like Crafton. Um, who's the guy who drives the 2 truck that won the championship? Sheldon Creed. I like him, and Austin Hill. There's probably a few drivers I do like in the truck series. It's not just the ladies, and so That's basically it. And I was kind of looking forward to Trevor Bayne driving it this year, but then unfortunately I found out that the Nice Motorsports, I think, released him. I'm not sure what the story was behind it, but they replaced him, I think, with Moffitt. So um, seems like my favorite drivers can't have nice things, can they? So there you have it with that, and so that's basically a lot of some of the videos I'm going to watch is probably the trucks and the ARCA race. If I do have one hope for the Daytona 500, please anybody but Logano, Kyle Busch, or Harvick. Please anyone but those three. But anyone else would be fine. But still, you know. So there you have it with that. And third one comes from the Q-Man Motorsports. That's Quentin Moore. What's up, Quentin? If you can race anything and doesn't have to be NASCAR, if you race anything and it doesn't have to be NASCAR, what would it be and why? Well, if you know which top motorsport I do like, you know what my answer to that is going to be. It's I would, if I had the money to do so, I'd probably go out to Frank Hawley's drag racing school in Gainesville, Florida. And, you know, I'd like to try out the alcohol dragster or the alcohol funny car they have, but you have to kind of have like a probably the top upgraded license to try those two categories. So I'd probably start small and probably do a gas dragster possibly. And the story behind that, I watched a YouTube video. I think it was a few years ago. Somebody tried a gas dragster in I think this clip I watched goes back to July of 1987, which was about 4 months after Gainesville ran the Gator Nationals that year, which that race usually runs in March in the NHRA. But he tried a gas dragster class, and the dragster he tried, if you know the dragsters you had back in the 80s, it was, you know, they were trying streamlining effects back in the mid to late part of that decade, and you know, Garlett's had Big Daddy Don Garlett's the greatest of all time in drag racing. He had like a spoon-like front end on his streamlined dragster Swamp Rat 30, which he debuted at Gainesville, in fact, in 1986, and that was a race, of course, where he broke the 270 mile an hour mark. The dragster that this guy, I watched the video of it on his channel. That particular day in '87, that's what he drove, was a dragster with a spoon-like front end. Except it obviously didn't have a 3,000 horsepower nitromethane burning engine that Top Fuel had back then, but rather it had a 650 horsepower gas burning engine, much like you see like in Competition Eliminator, Super Comp, Super Gas, some of the other sportsman categories. And so he made like a 100-foot run, a 200-foot run, a 500-foot run, a half track run, which is 660 feet. And pretty soon he tried a quarter-mile run without the nitrous bottle. He ran like 8.52 seconds with that run, and like 150 miles an hour, I think, is what it was. And then they installed a 200 horsepower nitrous bottle on the back of his dragster, and which increased the horsepower by obviously from 650 to 850, which is about what the Cup cars were making in NASCAR until they lowered the horsepower just a few years ago. But they installed that in the car, and in the next pass out, he went his quickest run of the whole thing at 7.87 seconds at 168.5 miles an hour, almost 170 miles an hour actually at the finish line. So that kind of gave me the idea. That's probably what I'd like to do, probably do a gas dragster. And so, and of course, the competition on their dragsters nowadays, they probably run like well under 6 seconds at well over 200 miles an hour. So some of them may be faster than what the pro stock cars run now, which is about 650s at about 210s. So if I went drag racing, that's probably what I probably would do, is build a dragster with a pro stock cylinder, probably maybe lease an engine from Elite Motorsports, which is the pro stock team that my favorite pro stock driver Erica Enders drives for, and probably run that engine behind the dragster. So, and yes, I probably use the canopy over the roll cage. That was another thing that dragster that the guy whose video I watched had was a canopy over the roll cage of the dragster, and that's the same kind of canopy that, you know, guys like the Don Schumacher Racing and Brittany Force runs in their top field cars today. So I probably put that on my dragster too. So those are pretty cool. So yeah, that's probably what I do. I mean, if anything, if I do like if I drive like an alcohol dragster or a funny car, if I get a chance to do that, I might try that too. So, but as far as NASCAR is concerned, I just be a car owner and try. I just be a car owner and hit the jackpot and try to. I just probably race maybe trucks possibly. So, so that's what I'd probably do, Quentin. Fourth question comes from Cookie RX. That's Stephen Cologne, I believe. If you decided to leave the NR community, what kind of other content videos are you gonna do for your YouTube channel? That's a pretty good question. All I can say for that one there, Stephen, that would be pretty. That you never know what's gonna come up on my channel. Actually, what if you've been subbed to my channel, you probably don't know I'm gonna do. So, yeah, you never know what I'm gonna do. I may do more question videos, possibly. I may do more of that, and so, but if I go to any races once this whole you know what ever ends, which I have doubts as of right now, and I'm not going to mention that word neither. And so I might do some more of those and whatever. So those kind of videos, I should say. Like if you saw my video, I've done videos of me at the drag races, and it's basically it pretty much. So, I mean, so like I said, you don't know what's gonna pop up on my channel, like I said, and so there you have it with that. And the last question comes from another one of my buddies, Joshua Osborne. What are your favorite Nickelodeon shows of all time? Oh gosh, that's a pretty good one. If you're talking about if you're talking about Nicktoons only, or if you're I'm saying, I'm pretty sure he's going to be saying combining Nicktoons and anything outside of Nicktoons. So I'll probably go ahead and combine this. Out of the Nicktoons, probably, well, obviously the early Rugrats episodes. I'm talking like anything 1993 or older. When that cartoon first came out. Because I mean, I thought it was the end of that cartoon when that cartoon came out, when the original run of the Rugrats came out back in ended, I should say, in 1994. I thought that was it until they brought that cartoon back in 1997. Now, some of the episodes they had in '97 weren't bad. They just weren't the same as the original run Rugrats. So there you have it with that. I like Doug. I like that one. When I finally got old enough to watch Ren and Stimpy, I probably like some of Ren and Stimpy's not all that bad, but then I can when I got old enough to finally watch that cartoon, I know now what my mom said I wasn't allowed to watch it until I got older. So, oh my gosh, But Ren and Stimpy was meant okay, I think, in my book. All Real Monsters wasn't bad. I liked that one was okay. I liked Rocko's Modern Life. That was one of my favorite ones. Also liked Hey Arnold. That was probably the last Nicktoon I probably got a lot into was Hey Arnold. But now there were some of the ones they had after that weren't bad. The early Angry Beavers weren't bad. I did like the first couple seasons of Rocket Power. That one in my book was a very underrated cartoon, I thought, because nobody gives Rocket Power much credit. So that one wasn't bad. The first season and a half of Kablam was pretty good until the late seasons, and I didn't care much for that cartoon after that. So out of the Nicktoons, that was probably one of my favorite ones, and everything. Some of the ones they had after 2000 now, however, I mean, I also forgot the early SpongeBob wasn't bad, but as the years went on, same thing. I kind of got lost after 3, maybe 4 years into the cartoon. I just didn't care much for it after that. And to you SpongeBob fans, you have my right, you have my permission to kill me for saying that, because I know there's a lot of people in our community that are huge on SpongeBob. So, um, Fairly Odd Parents was, excuse the pun, fairly okay, but I just didn't get into that one. Jimmy Neutron wasn't much into. Invader Zim I wasn't much into. Wild Thornberrys I wasn't much in. Well, Wild Thornberrys was okay. I can't say that. I can't say I wasn't much into the Thornberrys, but it was okay. Um, as Told by Ginger. Yeah, didn't care much for that one. Didn't care much for that one. And besides, I viewed that more as a girl's cartoon, to be honest. Excuse me for saying that. But but so that's basically it. How I thought of the Nicktoons, but now as far as the live action shows now slash the game shows. Oh gosh. The game shows at Nickelodeon, those were epic too. Double Dare was one of my favorites. I liked Double Dare. I liked Guts. I liked that one. I liked Nick Arcade was pretty cool. Legends of the Hidden Temple was cool. Figure It Out was okay. So that was basically the main four I liked from as far as Nickelodeon's game shows were concerned. Oh yeah, and also like Wild and Crazy Kids, the first version of Wild and Crazy Kids from 1990 to about 1993, 4. I forget which year that show went off the air. That one was cool. And but I didn't like when they brought Wild and Crazy Kids back for a second version back in the 2000s. I didn't care much for that version, and stuff. But and as far as Double Dare, I said Double Dare was my favorite one. That's the Mark Summers Double Dare, obviously. The remake they did a couple of years back wasn't the same. I mean, it really wasn't. But now I like all three of the Double Dares. The Mark Summers Double Dares. I liked all three of the versions. They had the regular Double Dare, the Super Slobby Double Dare, and the one I'm familiar with, Family Double Dare. Which I thought that was cool because you got the families involved in the whole thing. So, and give them a chance to get all messy and slimy and all that good stuff. And as far as the live action shows now, gosh, what was the first one? Yeah, the live action shows. I like You Can't Do It on Television, even if that show was Actually, I don't have anything problem with Canadian shows. I don't have any problem with that because my top two favorite Canadian live action shows. There's quite a few Canadian shows I do like. You Can't Do It on Television was one of them. I like that one, and and that's also the same country that brings us the Red Green Show, which I like that a lot. Of course, the PBS affiliate that's in my state that runs that show is never on Saturday nights, believe it or not. So anyway, You Can't Do It on Television. I like that one. Also liked Hey Dude wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad show. I liked let's see, what else do I like? In case some of you may be asking, I didn't really get much into Are You Afraid of the Dark? I didn't get much into that. I didn't get as much into that one. Besides, I don't do very well watching horror shows, and that's why I thought of Are You Afraid of the Dark as that one scared me a little bit too. In what episodes I did watch, and now thank God I probably forgot what some of the episodes were. But wasn't much into Are You Afraid of the Dark, and also of course you had Welcome Freshmen. That was okay. I was trying to think what else did you have. You had Secret World of Alex Mack. That one was okay. Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. That one was okay. And then Nickelodeon also ran a show that was briefly in 1997 that I think some people forgot that show was on, and that was called Ship to Shore. That one was okay. From what I did watch of that show, I should say. But and then of course you had your two Saturday Night Snick type shows, variety shows. I know everybody is familiar with All That, which debuted in 1994 or 5, I forget which year, but there was a variety show that they did before All that was called Roundhouse, and I kind of remember, and I vaguely remember that one. That one was okay. Theme song, I will say, was more catchier, I thought, than All That was, to be honest. But I mean, All That was good as well. I liked that one, and then Keenan and Kel was okay too. So that was some of the ones I remembered from my formative years of Nickelodeon as well. So thanks for that question there, Joshua. And so that's all 5 questions I got. And if any of you got some other questions on this video, then please feel free to ask the questions on the comments section. So if you got any more questions for me, and so I might do a part 2 on I might do a second episode of this. So for now, this is redracer1985, and I'll catch you on the flip side.